Howdy neighbor. So it is time to get this mess cleaned up. I've kind of let it lie through the holidays, and then of course we were focused on the backyard vegetable garden project. But in order for us to really get kind of the tail end of winter / be ready for spring in this vegetable garden, we have a lot of cleaning up to do. I need to open up areas so that we get more light, because I mean, here we are mid-morning, not looking good. Not looking good. So we've got some work to do there. We just have general cleanup stuff to like get under control, like this railroad vine, fire bushes to prune, all sorts of stuff. So if you're needing some motivation to get your areas cleaned up, to get going, like hang out today, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing tons of cleanup, just like cleanup in preparation for planning out this garden, both the vegetable and wildflower garden, over the coming weeks. Okay, some of the areas that I feel like we really need to fix is, one, the arches are still covered up with some of our summer crops, and plus some of my winter crops are creeping up, so we just need to like, my pumpkin has decided to go everywhere. Railroad vine has come all the way the distance. We've got things happening. I got a tomato there. I've got pumpkins all the way out to here. We still have a little bit of grass to clean up right on the edge, so we're gonna get that. I think some grass grew up right there too. We have to prune the ginormous fire bush because it is insane. We are going to also be doing the papayas, doing a little bit of cleanup. We're just clean up, and of course we're gonna be pruning this ponciana way back so we can get more light this direction. We'll have to probably save doing something about this to some other time period, but for right now, we'll do what we can control. I know so many of you have wanted to see me prune a fire bush and then like verify it comes back, so I figured I'd take it back super dramatically so that y'all can see. And I'm actually going to do one of those videos where like every 7 days I'll give you an update so you can see how it comes along. But I needed to, like, even if I accidentally kill these, which I don't think I'm going to be. But the big thing is I really needed to get a bunch of sunlight back into this space. Those fire bushes were this and the ponciana, and I think I need to do a little bit on this dwarf ponciana, aka Pride of Barbados. We need to like really open those up to just like open up this space. And the more I can do of that, the more these beds can be productive again. Because right now they are very hit or miss. I think that led to my sweet potatoes not doing great because the fire bush was like half over that entire bed. The middle bed, which was the one that gets the most sun now, was doing really well. And then this bed, I don't know, but we're going to end up topping that off, whether it's in today or very shortly after. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to take these strawberries out and I'm going to put them in pots, and then I'm just going to grab the seeds off of the lettuce that was in here, and then I'm just going to re-top off this entire bed so that we can replant it. I think by taking this fire bush down so dramatically, it's going to allow this one to fill in. But one of the things about both of these fire bushes is they're super close to the house. I don't know that that's what we're gonna want long term, but I do like that they shade the southern wall, especially during the summertime. These will have plenty of time to be much fuller and robust by the time we hit summer. Since we're in the winter months and we've got these cooler days, I figure if I'm gonna have the sun beating on this other wall, it might as well be when we're cold out, so it actually heats them up instead of, you know, in the summer when when it's not gonna be so great to have it beating on the house directly.
These are real tires made of rubber. Oh, yeah, this one's it's been banged around a whole bunch. And
if you're worried about all the berries and the flowers that are going and saying like, oh no, what about your wildlife? Like, me too, I get worried about that kind of stuff. But one of the things is Mr. Cliff isn't doing anything to his fire bushes, and he has huge ones on the side of his house just around the corner that have berries, that have flowers. We have another fire bush in the back, also has berries. I don't think it has flowers, but the tropical sage in the back is also just going nuts. So there are plenty of nectar sources right now that I'm okay taking that out, because sometimes what you got to do, because I feel like when you're a newer gardener, or I would call you like an intermediate gardener, like you're getting good about getting plants to grow, but like pruning is one of those things that's like, it kind of feels like you're taking stuff backwards. You know, you work so hard to get it growing, to get it thriving, and then it's like, well, now it's thriving too good, and you don't really want to like cut it out. So I feel like pruning is kind of one of those intermediate skills that like it takes a minute to kind of get comfortable doing it. But sometimes you need to do that to like those short-term losses for the long-term gains. Because if I don't deal with the fact that these fire bushes are one, shading out a ton of stuff in those vegetable beds, one, that's food for us. But from the wildlife perspective, there are so many different wildflowers up here. If I don't start dealing with shade issues, these ones are all starting to stretch in different directions, especially on the sidewalk, that it's going to cause problems with overall pollen and nectar sources through the balance of the year, which is why I need to deal with the ponciana and I need to deal with some of these other plants that may have some nectar right now, but in the long run, we're going to have problems. But I was waiting on this because we're kind of past the last probably worst snap that we're going to get, because here in zone 10A, right, we don't get as cold. Like it's very unlikely I'll get to freezing temperatures. So, and today's going to get up to 80. What? So it's time to start, like, especially these ones that act more like tropical plants like firebush, it's time to start like resetting them to be like, hey, I know you're going to take off in like a minute, so let me get you cut back, and then you will throw out flowers, you'll throw out berries. So that was part of my thought process, is I was definitely thinking about, hey, what's going to be the birds? What can the birds be doing? What can the butterflies be doing? Because you can see we've got some monarchs flying around, Gulf fritillaries flying around today, cloudless sulfurs, maybe some orange bars I've seen so far. And that was just today. So I have some other places for them to get some food. Yeah. So I need to open it up so I can have more plants thriving, so they'll have even more food, and we can really take the increase of population that's going to happen in like the next month. And look at this, Stokes aster, totally open now. Look at how big this is. I was saying in the other video that they get this big, and look at that. Just so you guys get an idea. There's my hand. Yeah, it's about the size of my palm. So we've got some stuff already starting to come in. Got blanket flowers that are coming in, but I gotta prune these back. Ugh, I hate it. I know, Monarch, I see you. I see you. So one of the things that we need to deal with is this ponciana, because we have so much shade here, so much shade, and there are so many sun-loving plants here. So what Ben's gonna be doing while I'm doing some additional cleanup is he's just raising this canopy. So all this stuff that's kind of below this point. The other thing you'll see from this angle is before, this canopy was like dropping down all the way out to here. So what we did in the fall is we pulled it all the way back this way. So we need to do the same thing on this side. So we want to get it like all the way back to here. I know the canopy is gonna be super small, but it's really necessary because we have so much sun-loving plants, both north of this tree, east of the tree, that we just were shaded out so much by this one. The one we got to figure out what we're going to do with, because Mr. Cliff's oak is creating a lot of shade. It's actually all the way over our driveway, are some of the furthest branches, and we just need to get this canopy lifted a bit and even pulled back on the south side, so just so we can get some more light angling in for us, just so you can get a sense of all the shades creating besides what's directly below it. But you can see, like, we're coming all the way back out to our wildflower garden. These are all full sun plants, these random tomatoes that are growing, the entire sidewalk area. So we've got, and then of course our butterfly garden back towards that pine. All of this is now shaded out just from this one tree. So we're gonna this is gonna help a lot. So while Ben continues on with that, I'm going to be working on this little strip of grass that still exists. I'm gonna be pulling that. So now I am done with our grass headline. Woo! Oh my geez, the sun is like blazing. Isn't it winter? What's going on here? But yay, it's kind of like a way of finishing a project from a bajillion years ago, since I took out the last of the grass, I think in the summer of last year. But that edge always, it was just, you know, it's hard to hold the mulch there. Now, one of the things that watch out wise for this kind of edge line is that this is the place that weeds are going to want to get in, and mulch won't stay very well here. So as I kind of reset some of this native garden, I'm really going to be focusing on what I plant really close to the edge of my property, because it will hold, you know, the wood chips and the mulch and the dirt back and help prevent some things coming out. I'm thinking of doing a lot of Coreopsis Leavenworthy, just to be honest, because I got a gift card for my birthday and I got a gift card for Christmas. And so, well, I could start some from seed. I just want to like, just yellow all along that edge. And then other flowers too, but like a lot of yellow. So next up, I'm gonna start working on this pathway section, which this doesn't look terrible. I mean, it doesn't look great either. Mexican petunias are being very nicely invasive, so I might just do like a quick, just get them out of here and like off the tops. And then what I need to do over here is I need to cut back all the native plants that are overcrowding, specifically the frog fruit, and I think it's creeping sage I've got there. And then also here, and get rid of these Mexican petunias and just get this part off top here. And I still haven't gotten the tools yet. I'm compiling the list of all the tools that you guys are giving me. And I know probably from your guys' perspective, it seems like it's been a long time since I asked, but it hasn't, because you know, sometimes I do these videos and they're not coming out when I actually, you know what I'm saying? Like they come out, but there's been about a long amount of time. So since there's so much work to be done during the winter time, this is all more compressed than probably you realize. So let me keep working on this and that, and hooray, let's make this look nicer and neater. So all the grass clippings I just threw in the compost, but this stuff I probably will dry it for burn, just because I do not want any of this to get in my vegetable beds.
Get back for a minute.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get through this, what's in my hand. How far back is my sidewalk? Oh no. No. How far is the sidewalk? Oh geez. Louise. Look at this. Okay. Holy moly guacamole.
Where's the rest of the sidewalk?
It's here. Look at this. It's way underneath. Like the sidewalk goes all the way back to here. So all this is just plants overgrowing. I'm showing them. Look at this. All on top of the sidewalk. We didn't put soil there. That's just it composting itself. That's crazy.
All of the plants on this side on our sidewalk too.
Yep, those are tomatoes. They're too big, too in the way.
Are they doing a bad job?
Well, they're just kind of going where they're looking for light. Can you scoot more, honey?
All the way here?
Yep, all the way there. Whoa. Big branch?
Yeah. Next one's gonna be probably the thickest yet.
Why couldn't it's got handles?
So you can move them around.
Why we don't move also?
Well, because we don't really need to.
Then we got two.
We have two now, yes. No, now we have three, because Nana gave us another one.
I forgot.
So Ben and I, since we're taking over all the maintenance of the yard other than mowing the grass, which is only this much of the yard, we needed to get something to like deal with the fact that this grows ridiculously fast. So what we did is we got a Fisker's 14-foot tree pruner. So this is our first time using it. So what did you think, Ben? Do you think we need like an electric one, or is that going to be okay to have? Pros, cons?
So, I mean, this is really impressive. You know, you can see as I pull this, the lopper kind of blade there.
Oh, is it like the lopper we use for all the shrubbery?
Similar, yeah. I mean, some of the thicker branches, it couldn't quite get through. There were some where I kind of had to do like a couple pretty hard pulls, but no, it's definitely impressive for you know, just being something you're pulling with a string. Surprisingly effective.
Did it cut like butter?
Some of them it most definitely cut like butter.
Butter?
Yes.
What about the saw part? Because we have a hand saw. Easier than like if we were hand sawing a similar trunk size or branch size?
Yeah, generally easier. I was a little apprehensive just because I don't know if I can really show it on camera, but the blades, yeah, it's a little like flimsy looking, but surprisingly sharp. So it did a really good job of sawing through thick branches like some of these over here. You can see the thickness of this.
Yeah.
It cut through it pretty easily. I mean, you know, you can see there's some splitting here. Got to wipe some sweat out of my eyes, but you know, I tried to do the little trick we learned years ago from Monty Dom, where
we love Monty Dom. We love our British gardener.
With these thicker ones, I tried to, like you can kind of see here too, come at it from the bottom first, cut into it a little bit, and then that way, once you come from the top and you get all the way through, as it falls, you don't get the long splitting that happens where it's still kind of attached. But yeah, for stuff even as thick as this, that saw blade, as you know, flimsy as it might look, was very effective. Biggest con for me, my neck's killing me, and my shoulders from all the looking up like this. So I think that's the biggest drawback, is just that it's a mechanical, you know, not an electric or gas powered or any kind of motorized tool.
Yeah, so the thing with the electric, just watching Mr. Cliff though, that's why I didn't want to start with that, is because when he was taking his saw up there, because of how flexible these branches are, it just really wasn't cutting. Like, we ended up switching to hand saw a couple times.
I did have a little bit of a challenge at times with this too. Like, because some of the branches where I was trying to cut, they weren't the biggest of branches and they were kind of far away from the trunk, and so there was just a lot of the branches trying to move, so it was a little tough to kind of, you know, get it to go through from that regard. But
and the other thing is that because we haven't figured out what brand we're going to go with the other tools, I know a lot of you guys were recommending with like the electric tools. There's a bunch of brands now that's like you get the set and then you only buy like a couple batteries, because then you can like swap them between the devices. So I didn't want to like get something and then later be like, oh no, we're going to go with a totally different brand for everything else. So and the Fisker stuff, like, it's just hands down has been pretty good cutting tools overall. So I just thought, like, if anything's gonna cut it like butter that high up in the air, it's probably gonna be Fiskers. Ben would like me to mention this is not a sponsored video. This is just us telling you stuff. All right, we're gonna go in and get some lunch right now.
yes.
So the good thing is there's way more sun. The bad thing is that there's so much more sun, and now I can't hang out in the front garden without having my sunglasses on, except for like a couple small spots here and there. So the day is getting long and I'm running out of time for all the things. I had a really long list of stuff I wanted to do today, and I just don't think that's going to be realistic. So what I did is at the end of lunch, Ben and I just sat down and listed out all the things that we had originally wanted to do and like how much, because he's got to go and cook now, you know, so, and then my parents are going to be over for dinner. So basically I got to figure out what can I do in the time that I have left to get as far as I can. So what we kind of prioritize is like, I need to move the branches into the pile. The pile then needs to be moved to the brush pile in the back of the property, which does take a minute. I mean, my yard isn't acres, but like to go from here to that back corner does take a minute. And then I think what I'm going to really focus in on is like just cleaning up everything along kind of the sidewalks. So these hedges with like all the Mexican petunias, the walkway with the frog fruit, which is apparently grown 6 inches over the sidewalk, some of the porterweed and the tomatoes, all the things that are kind of on this sidewalk here. We're gonna get that all cleared up, and that's probably all I'm gonna have time for. Such a bummer, because I really wanted to clean up these trellises, clean up the papayas. Maybe I can clean up the papayas really quickly. Those are pretty fast, but we'll see. And yeah, I wanted to do that. I wanted to weed all these beds because, you know, now we're gonna have a bunch of sunlight, and not only will my vegetables get going again, but the weeds will too. So, but it is what it is. You know, you just kind of gotta prioritize and do as much as you can while you can, and then try to make up for it where you can. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's work on branches, and then, you know, maybe when I go to plant these vegetable beds out, that's when I'll come back through and weed them. Ah, dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. Okay, so I know, I just moved everything to a different part of my driveway, but I was trying to be realistic with the amount of time that I have to just, it was easier for me to just move the pile from over there to here, and I needed, it's like, why would you move it and then move it again so that you can move it again? Okay, let me explain my thought process. It was, I mean, I should have done this right from the beginning because I put it right behind my car. So in the morning tomorrow, if I for some reason don't finish this, I can't get out of the garage, which would be very bad because tomorrow's Monday. So I need to be able to move that. So even if I can't finish moving all this to the back, what I was also thinking is when we pruned the Poinciana last time, it was really good to have this here, and then it wasn't great to have it here. But what I'll do is this week, what I'm going to come back to do is chop all the branches off so that it's easier, more compact, because clearly this thing is very, very tall. So we'll let all these leaves drop, and I'm going to use those in one of the upcoming things that we're going to get to. So might as well just have that here. And then some of these branches I think I can use in some of the projects I want to do when I rearrange some things. So at that time I can, you know, like what I did before, like cut off all the like little branches so that I got main trunk branches, and then I can use those for outlining things. And I think that'll be much better. So that's done. I'll sweep up the driveway in a little bit, but that way at least if my parents also get here, they're not I'll hear it from my mom, why do you have a pile on here? So it's there. So now we can move into clearing walkways so the mailman can get through. We just need to do that, keep it moving. It's hot, what the heck, it's winter, it's not supposed to be this hot. Jeez Louise. Okay, keep going, right? Keep going. Now the big thing with these Mexican petunia cuttings, you do not want to let them fall into another garden bed because they will reroot and they send out runners like crazy. And it's because this is an invasive species. Many other viewers can tell you that once they go to clear it out of its face, when they're like, oh, it's invasive, or they want to replace it just because, it is so hard to get out. So I will not allow any cuttings to go on this side. Everything's got to end up back on that side. So just something to think about. And I think the sap is also irritating to people's skin. Don't know, haven't touched it lately. So something else to think about. Just cut the sprinkler head. Be so much easier with an electric hedge trimmer. I know. You're all screaming it at me and I hear it. I hear it. Because I'm thinking it too. I mean, it's not terrible doing it by hand, but it's hot out. It's winter and it's hot out, and I don't want to do this in the summer when it's miserable. So the top choices I was hearing from people from like the electric standpoint was like Ryobi, like a lot of recommendations for Ryobi, Milwaukee, and DeWalt, or maybe DeWalt then Milwaukee. I don't know. I haven't tallied up what people say. So talk amongst yourselves in the comments and tell me why, which one, because like I got a lot of recommendations, but tell me why not the other ones that I just listed, because I don't know, but it's got to be better than this. Though the Fiskars, you know, the hedge trimmers, they're doing a good job. It's just, yeah, I don't want to be out here this long. Looking way better. I know this is messy. I just threw all the clippings in there because I didn't want them to get out, but looking way better. Also, mailman can get to the door. That's great. The problem is he always takes this way to get to their house, and this is a hot mess. So we need to clean this up for our mailman. So as I go through and cut this stuff, I'm gonna keep putting it in the bucket, and I'm just gonna take it and I'm just throwing it on the ground where I have sandy spots in the backyard. That way it can just like potentially root, potentially not. And the nice thing is it's got at least 2 plants that are in there, which is the frog fruit and creeping sage. And that's a nice mix because frog fruit does really well in the sun and creeping sage does really well in the shade. So the statistical odds is that one of them will be happy or they'll both be happy. So yeah, I have really no good way to do this manually. Last time I did it with just like pruning shears. And again, I hear you going like, get the edgers and a weed whacker. I know. I knew, but like, I really know right now that I would like to do that before I finish doing some of these projects. So I will prioritize moving that up because I've got so much to do. Not even just today, but I have so much. So like the list of stuff I have to do, I can't have stuff being too time consuming. Cause like even like stuff like this bed has grass in it. That's like slowly like crept through, even though I weeded this like, I don't even know how long ago, but it's apparently taken off. I gotta get every bed under control. Yeah, because this is the year that I wanted to do things a little bit more manicured. So we're gonna really, really try to get this looking nice. And so I got a long way to go. And being inefficient is not gonna help me get this done the way I want to. So yes. And you know, here's the crazy thing I'm thinking about. It's like the order that we did things. I should have, well, but I needed Ben to help me with the tree. But like, honestly, because now we don't have the tree, all this area is not shaded as much, which is why I wanted it fixed. But the problem is like now it's hotter than I'll get out right here and it's really sunny. And it's winter. Guys, this is crazy. You know, we talk about native plants being a good ground cover. We talk about how to amend our sandy soil. We talk about all these things, right? And I know I did put wood chips down in this area, but like what's happening on this sidewalk is just, let me show you. Okay, so, you know, sidewalk, plants. And if you look here, you would be like, oh, okay, well the sidewalk kind of ends here, right? But it doesn't. It doesn't end here, it doesn't end here. The sidewalk goes to like right here. And if I kind of come along, this is sidewalk. As I'm pulling up these mats, it's like, look at all the soil. Look at all of this. This is sidewalk, 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 sidewalk. Like the sidewalk goes all the way back. Ugh. I keep going. Like it goes all the way back to here. All this soil was created with the frog fruit. Growing, dying on itself. Let me see if I can show you. I didn't pull this section yet. So look at this. So yeah, it broke down the mulch, but it's like, it's creating the soil that we need. And, you know, when we look back at that area that had grass in it that just like all died off, I mean, it's like, it's so different, right? It's like completely sand back there. And just to see that, like, if I can get some frog fruit and creeping sage in there, like they're gonna add nutrition, and not only add, but they hold it, right? Because they like to stay more on the top surface layer. So it's just kind of interesting and amazing to see kind of what it did without me realizing it. What I do is I kind of cleaned up this walkway on this side with the frog fruit and the creeping sage, but I honestly, you know, I got to be good about return on investment of time. So I think we can push it back further once we have a proper edger. That will be when we like really knock it back. But for right now, this is probably just good enough for getting this out of the way for the mail guy, which is my priority right now. Is just clear up pathways. So I'm gonna just take this, we're gonna go in the back, and we're just gonna dump it literally on the open sand. My intent when we go to do this long conversion project, because you can see this is all weeds, at least until you get like way out there, then it's grass again. But this whole section, weeds. Not weeds I want to keep either. So they're definitely weeds. So what I've been doing is we've got these like open bare patches of sandy soil, and then where it's been bare for a really long time, like over here, some of the grass is growing in, but also just more weeds are growing in. So I'm just gonna take this and I'm just dumping it like that. I will say the creeping sage does have a nice smell. Oh yes, and did you see my seed starting table back there? Those little soil blocks, they're doing good. Well, they're doing their thing, but I'm not, sun problems, so they're all leggy. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. But that's okay, we can adjust. Just so many learning things this year. Trying new things, which is great, but then I'm not optimized, so. But it is what it is. Onward. Must get rid of the porterweed and the tomatoes off the sidewalk. So Jose has a place to walk. But also, so tempting, the mulberries. Oh, they're starting to change and they're so yummy. So yummy. So now we're gonna be, I was telling Bet, I'm like, I'm stressed, I said, because we have so much we're getting done, but also things like the mulberries are coming in. Once they come in, it's like a hour of harvesting every day. Like, and if I'm trying to also do like getting stuff going, like don't have time for both. So, okay, so we'll do the tomatoes, the porterweed, and then I'll check the time and see how much more I can get done, because yeah, you can see the sun's getting very low in the sky. We actually got a mix of porterweed right here and brown savory. Now brown savory, a lot of people talk about it as like almost like a edge of pond plant. Hi, butterfly. But what I'm finding is as long as you got sprinklers, this will work also right here. I mean, this whole area is brown savory. So, and I think it works well because this area always gets kind of shaded out. And this seems to be getting moist enough just from, you know, kind of the regular sprinkler shenanigans. This whole area right here, this is all brown savory. These little flowers right here. A lot of people say, I think, marshy areas. But but it's not supposed to be kind of in your typical lawn area, and it makes this whole mat here. Let me see if I can kind of get it out of the light. But you can see now it's all here, which I put it here because it's a pretty shady area because of the pine, but it does get water, but a lot of stuff didn't really want to grow here. And this has grown really nicely. It was slow, but now it's taking off, and you can see now it's all the way out here. And that was just one plant, just one little plant. I picked it up, I think, a Little Red Wagon a while back. So that did pretty well. Ugh, let me get out of the sun. Okay, so I knocked back that porterweed. We've knocked back the tomatoes. We've knocked back the frog fruit and the creeping sage. I think what we gotta do now is just sweep. Yeah, we'll just sweep, clean that area up, and then we'll look at the time, see if we can get anything else done before I gotta get in, you know, try to get a shower before dinner time, you know, because as much as my parents love me, I don't think they would really appreciate me being very gross, so. But you know we can test it, because love. No, they wouldn't care. Well, I think we're gonna call it quits there. While we didn't get all the things done that we wanted to get done, we did get our primary goal done, which was open up the front yard to way more light so that the things that already exist here can grow. And then all of our plans for end of winter and spring, those can also grow. So I guess I should feel, you know what, just let's pat ourselves on the back. We got something done, even if it's not all the things done. Yes, let's celebrate that. And if you're looking for any of the tools that I was using, I'll link them in the description below, so you can pick them up, because I know sometimes y'all get good ideas from what we use. So whether it was the tree pruner, the loppers, or the hedgers, or any of the hand tools, I'll just put links down below. And if you were inspired by some of the things you saw with some of our native ground covers, check out this video on 5 lawn alternatives. It's a really good way to kind of get an idea of some of the things you can do. And YouTube says you should watch that one. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.